Hi everyone, welcome to this conversation Research for Everyone. We are coming back after a long gap, and this time we have Dr. Dishari Gupta with us. Hi Dishari.
Hi, Shweta.
So before we go on to Dishari's PhD research, let me just remind you, Research for Everyone is a series in which we simplify PhD processes and findings of various PhD scholars. This is to make research accessible for everyone, including children. So moving ahead, Dr. Dishari Gupta, her PhD topic is something that, of course, she'll introduce herself, but it is related to violence and depression and workers and unorganized sector. So you've heard all these words from me, but over to you, Dishari, if you would like to share what was your research about.
Yeah, so I'll just, the topic of my research was impact of perceived violence on level of depression and quality of life of female workers of unorganized sector. Now, we need to know what this unorganized sector is. I mean, this is something very new for many. So in lay words, if you just want to know, unorganized sector is that sector which is often not incorporated with the government and hence follows no such rules that no such government rules. And this largely comprises of people working in the markets, like in the shops, beauty parlors, you can say bus conductors, drivers, laborers, as well as people working on contractual agreements in agricultural lands. Then for various small scale industries, all these are included under unorganized sector. So my area or my interest was to study what was the impact of intimate partner violence on the women of these sector, and how whether these kind of violence are impacting the depression and the quality of life of these workers. Yeah.
Thank you, Dishari. And in this, would you like to explain a few terms for lay people who might be watching this video?
Yeah, sure. So if I just take in my variables that I have studied, the independent variables are those whose impact I'm going to study. So that was primarily violence. Intimate partner violence can be of three kinds. It is sexual, physical, and psychological. So now physical violence is any kind of throwing, pushing, beating, choking, or using weapons. For sexual violence, it is forceful or physically painful coercion. And psychological violence, it's a much tabooed topic in India. It includes public as well as private humiliation, verbal lashing to the victim so that she or he feels embarrassed. So these all come under psychological violence. I wanted to study their impact on my dependent variables on which the impact is to be studied. Those were depression and quality of life. Now, depression, it's a state of mind characterized by, a lowering of the individual's vitality or mood, low self-esteem, no desires or hopes. Now, this depression can range from a very mild feeling of tiredness and sadness to a profound state of apathy. That is what depression basically is. And the quality of life is nothing but how the person enjoys the important possibilities of life. So it is the individual's physical, social, and psychological well-being. So this is primarily what my variables were. Now, if you want to know that how I did this study, then of course I had to arrange for some questionnaire. For example, my violence questionnaire was taken in the light of a questionnaire prepared by Thompson et al., and it is found in the Center for Disease for Control of Diseases, Atlanta, Georgia. And for the depression part, I used the Beck Depression Inventory, which is a 21-item self-report inventory. Fortunately, I had a vernacular version which was available from my university. For all the questionnaires, I had to go for a vernacular translation because I was reaching out to people whose minimum education criteria was class 8 pass, standard 8 pass. So I could not reach them with English questionnaire, so that had to be vernacular. For quality of life, this again was developed by me under the guidance of my guide. Under the light of in the light of the quality of life questionnaire from World Health Organization. So primarily, these were my research tools that I used.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, can you shed light on, like where did you do this? Where did you find people, and how long did it take for you to gather all this information?
Right, right. So so since I already described what unorganized sector is, but this is so vast. I could not have reached everywhere. There is one thing called sample. Sample is basically, the population. It is the subset of the entire population of interest. It is the respondents are those who would represent the entire population, which is the area of which is my focus in my research. So for me, this time I took out three parts of unorganized sector. Those were informal caregivers, or as we call in Bengali, it is called Aya or Japa in Hindi. So these were the informal caregivers, and then we had domestic help, which was prevalent. Person who works within the employer's household, performing all kind of household chores. And third was the small scale enterprises. Since the study was done in West Bengal, and West Bengal has quite a number of districts, I had drawn 5 districts from 20 of them through fishbowl draw technique. And from there, we received 5 districts, which were North 24 Parganas, Howrah, Purulia, South 24 Parganas, and Nadia. So these were the 5 districts from which we took data.
Dishari used something called fishbowl draw technique. Can you tell the audience as to what that means?
Yeah, so we basically had a big bowl, and we wrote down the name of the districts, all the districts that were there in West Bengal, and randomly 5 were taken out, of which these 5 districts that I mentioned came out, and so I had to conduct the data collection in those areas.
Okay, so now that you were meeting so many people, how many people did you actually meet, for your research?
Yes, so I had taken data from around 513 people, of which 168 was from the informal caregivers, and 176 from domestic help, and another 179 from small scale enterprises. So that was quite a huge number, and took me quite a number of years to get this data, because I had to do a pilot study also. Prior to the main research, I had to take 100 data from all these sectors to get my questionnaires arranged. So yes, that was the amount that I took.
Okay, and since you met so many people, there must have been lots of responses and a lot of data that you collected. So how did you go about analyzing that data, making sense of it?
Yes, so when we are collecting data, we have a set of questionnaires where the answers are in that way, so that we can bring in some statistics to calculate that data. So the statistics that I used was multivariate analysis of variance. I won't go into the details of what statistics I used, but I used the package, SPSS package, to analyze all my data. And also I did some interviews while collecting the data. So insights from those interviews were also taken into consideration. And yeah, that was how I went about by analyzing the 513 data.
Right. So one thing which is clear is that then you have so much data to deal with, it's all right to use some software to make sense of it and to compile it.
Yeah, and getting all those data in the software, first Excel sheets and transferring them to SPSS, it's a long process. It is a process, but it's worth it.
Okay. All right. So what were the key findings according to you from your research that you would like to share with us?
Yes, sure. So if you go by the topic, what was the impact of the 3 kinds of violence on depression and quality of life? There was definitely significant impact. It was kind of obvious. But what I found was that all these 3 forms of violence were varying for different sectors of the unorganized sector. For example, I could see physical abuse, it was highest for almost all of them. There was not much difference among the 3 sectors, but for psychological abuse, domestic help scored the most. Again, for sexual abuse, small-scale enterprises scored the most. There was no much difference in violence perpetrated against women in the 5 districts. So no matter how varied the population is of these 5 districts, the violence is same. So everybody had their own baggage. Now, if we see the impact, what was on the depression and quality of life scores, I could see that South 24 Parganas had the highest depression rate. Again, Nadia district had highest depression rate for small scale enterprises, and for domestic help, it was North 24 Parganas. Then for quality of life, then South 24 Parganas scored highest for all informal caregivers for as well as domestic help. But then small scale enterprises scored highest for, the quality of life was worse for the people in the Howrah district. Again, an interesting finding I would say was that I divided my population into age-wise also. So 18 to 27 years and 28 to 38 years. So it was seen that all kind of violence was prevalent more for 28 to 38 years, except physical violence, which was marginally high for the 18 to 27-year-olds. But for depression and quality of life, that suffered most for the younger age, 18 to 27 years, in spite of violence score being higher of the 28 to 38 years group. So that was an interesting finding that I found.
And so one thing that I understand is that violence was prevalent in all the districts that you studied, and it was there for all the women that you met. That's what I should understand first. And then also it affected quality of life, and you also saw depression among the women that you interviewed. Right? All of them, except for that scores were higher or lower depending upon some different districts.
Right. Okay. And for the reason that I kind of concluded from my findings was that violence in any form devastates lives of women thriving to survive with meager income. Because for the unorganized sector, there's no betterment. I mean, there's very limited opportunity of betterment, and their working conditions are pitiable. Imagine after that a woman reaching home and what awaits them is abuse. That really worsens their quality of life. Also, a few other reasons was fear of retaliation from spouse and family, and that bounded these women from seeking much needed assistance. Then if you go into the literatures, that are the studies that have been done previously, domestic violence tops the list of unregistered crimes. So in spite of broad divergence level in various areas, everybody faced some kind of all my population who was facing intimate partner violence had depression.
Okay. Was there anything that came to you as a surprise, in your findings that was unexpected for you, but you still found it?
Yes. So I was not really, I was really shocked to see that, so many girls at the age of 18 and 19 facing violence in all three forms. And, I would not deny the fact that I almost cried while taking some data, because when they were explaining their situation, that was something that I as a person could not imagine. What I found was basically violence is affecting so many kind of people. It is not only for the organized sector, the unorganized sector women who are earning, who the family is dependent on their earnings, yet they're facing violence and they have to reach work. So, I would also say that these women are facing problems in the sense of health-wise also. Because of the abuse, their health is suffering, and then it becomes difficult for them to get work. So all these contributed to my findings also. Violence is a global phenomenon. It is there. It's a perpetual crime that is happening always.
Okay. Can you share some of the key challenges that you faced as a researcher?
So reaching out to the unorganized sector women, I mean, you cannot just go to anybody and ask that, do you face intimate partner violence? That was not possible. So I really am thankful to a few people, a few areas like the Directorate of Social Welfare of West Bengal, the MSME Development Institute, and also some short stay homes and NGOs from where I collected these data. I actually reached out to the directors of these institutes, and they helped me find out which of the women are facing these kind of problems. So finding the actual victims who are facing this was a big challenge. Also, I have reached out to many people, and then when I went for data collection, I could not get, because time, as I say, time is a constraint. People, when they are amidst their work, they don't have time to say all these, give all these data. After collecting data, there were some questions like, what will that do? How am I going to be benefited by giving you all these details? So that was a very bitter pill to gulp. I mean, yes, seriously, I was nobody to actually bring them out of that agony. No, but I needed those data for my research. So yes, I faced a lot of hazards while collecting data.
Right, and this is, I think, a common experience for most researchers that, many researchers go with the assumption that we'll just approach people and then, we should be able to get it. But people always will have this question as to what is in it for me? Like, what happens after I share all this with you, because that's the reality. PhD scholars and MPhil scholars will go and complete their thesis and they will probably not come back to this population or not work actively with this population later. So that's always, a pain point of, or a question mark basically for all the researcher. So now for the audience who's heard you, in terms of your findings on violence and especially the unorganized sector, what is it that you would want the general public to remember, from all that you've said?
Exactly. So, marital violence leads to so many consequences, but the highest or the greatest impact is on children. So I really believe that, people should keep that in mind, that children are affected by this kind of crime, this kind of crime. Also, I would say there are two helpline numbers. For women, it's 1091, and for children, it is 1098. At least reach out to these numbers to report what you're facing. At least let the authorities know. I know it becomes difficult for many, to get justice, because, that is one of my suggestions from the researchers also, that there are a lot of laws, there are a lot of legislations, there are all women police stations also. But, implementing those laws stringently or very quick, prompt police action is missing. Something that is, the government has to work on. So at least report them so that, some kind of help can come. That there should be somebody who has an ear to say, who's helping in sensitive hearing and helping these women come back with renewed confidence and security. If we can do that, then we are doing a lot for these women.
Right. Thank you so much, Dishari, for sharing about your PhD research, the findings, as well as suggestions. Thank you so much. Did you want to add anything else for recommendations for stakeholders? Because I saw you talking about stakeholders as well as general public.
Yeah, stringent law implementation. People, when I actually went for the research, there were children, there were ladies who were 18, 19-year-old who faced violence, but they were married at 14, 15. So we do have laws pertaining to certain age before which you cannot get married, but a larger population just ignores those laws. So, the root cause is something probably different. Also, neglect in health and nutrition. That is something, because of the abuse, the women are neglecting their own health and nutrition. That brings a very low quality of life. Also, there are many social security schemes, but how to access those is unknown to most of the women. So, helping them out in these areas would actually, these were my suggestions for my report also, to help them out for the Directorate of Social Welfare. So these, if you can work upon, could be of help to many in the unorganized sector.
Okay, thank you, Dishari, and thank you everyone who's going to watch this video. This is again reminding you, part of Research for Everyone series, where we simplify the conversations on PhD researchers so that they become accessible to everybody. Thank you and see you in the next series. Bye Dishari, bye everyone.
Yeah, bye.